Welcome, everybody, to today's show. We got some MMA news, and then I'll go ahead and probably react to some of the Media Day stuff for UFC Atlanta coming up this weekend. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. All right. So first off, what we're going to be going over is some medical suspensions. So with that, UFC 316 medical suspensions. UFC 316 medical suspensions. Juliana Pena out indefinitely after nasty Kimura loss. So she even tapped. She kind of let it go a little bit, but not as long as some people do. And she's still out indefinitely. That's crazy. New Jersey State Athletic Control Board, handed out 12 medical suspensions in the aftermath of UFC 316. 12 medical suspensions? Wasn't there only 14 fights? Inside Prudential Center in Newark with the former champion Juliana Pena, Kelvin Gastelum, and Mario Batista among those who will need additional medical clearance before returning to action. Yeah, Batista had a nasty split on his lip. Pena nearly got her arm ripped off by Kayla Harrison in the co-main event of 316, but tapped out in the third round, losing her bantamweight championship belt. Gastelum suffered a first-round beatdown by Joe Pyfer, but battled back to lose a competitive, unanimous decision, and Batista spoiled Patchy Mix's UFC debut by styling on him for 3 rounds. Complete UFC 316 medical suspensions, courtesy of MMA Fighting, are below. So those that are suspended from UFC 316 is going to be Juliana Pena, Kelvin Gastelum, Mario Batista, Vicente Luque, Bruno Silva, Brendan Ribeiro, Sergey Spivak, Chaos Williams, Ariane De Silva, Saragi Quillen, Salkild, and Mark Choinski. Suspended for 21 days, no contact for the left calf. Wow, crazy. I don't really want to go through all those. But so with that, indefinite just means they're out till they don't need to be out. That's what that means. It's not suspended from Dana White, not suspended from the UFC themselves, just suspended from the commission. And that's the New Jersey Athletic Commission. I think I would assume a different state would allow them to fight as long as they pass certain tests. So with that, what do you think about that? Do you think some of these medical suspensions should not be there? Are you surprised by some of them? And what do you think? What would you like next for Juliana Pena? Almost said Kenya. Juliana Pena and Kelvin Gastelum. Let me know down below. Next up, Sugar Sean. Sugar Sean O'Malley reveals timeline for Octagon return after UFC 316 amid calls for a move to featherweight. So I think he's mentioned this on the podcast. He did a podcast, I believe, yesterday. And so let's see what he has to say. Are they going to give me a video for it? Let's see. Nope. Okay, so I'm just going to read it. Sean O'Malley's attempt at redemption to UFC bantamweight was failed. Yep, we know that. Okay, O'Malley is in a peculiar position in the bantamweight title picture. Unless another contender takes Dvalishvili's throne, it could be a while for him to get another title shot. Yep, he'll need to fight 2 or 3 times before he gets a title shot, and those fights will have to be wins. Sean O'Malley shares initial UFC return timeline after UFC 316 loss. O'Malley's situation is similar to that of Max Holloway's, who opted to stay at featherweight despite 3 losses to Alexander Volkanovski. When Ilya Topuria knocked out Volkanovski at 298, Holloway was the next man for a title shot, losing to Topuria in the first round knockout defeat of his career. But despite an enticing featherweight move on the table, O'Malley seems content in competing against another one of the top bantamweight contenders for his return. In a recent episode of the Timbo Sugar Show, O'Malley hinted what's next for his UFC plans. The division's going to play out over the next few months, O'Malley said. We'll see where it goes. December seems like it would make sense if we get back in there. Umar Nurmagomedov is so fucking skilled. Everyone in the top 5, top 10 is so skilled. So I think it's nice not to think about a fight right now. I don't want to know right now. So with that, yeah, Umar makes sense. I personally want to see Sugar and Peter Yan rematch, but we'll actually get to that next. So with that, what do you think? Would you like to see Sugar Sean fight Umar Nurmagomedov? Do you think he should fight somebody else? Do you think he should just step up to 145? What do you think he should do? Go ahead and let me know down below. As I had stated, that I was going to talk about Umar Nurmagomedov. Hold on, let me get out of this shit. Come on, MMA junkie. Okay, thank you. I mentioned that I want Peter Yan and Sugar Sean to have a second fight. I think that first fight was really competitive and really good. I'd like to see it again. However, Peter Yan already has a return date. Peter Yan returns at UFC on ABC 9 versus Marcus McGee. Ranked UFC bantamweights will collide this summer in Abu Dhabi on July 26th. Former title holder Peter Yan will fight. Will fight at Yaz Island against Marcus McKean in a 3-round clash. The person with the knowledge of the matchup recently informed MMA Junkie of the booking, asked to remain anonymous. I assume John Anik. I just assumed that. As the promotion has yet to make an official announcement, so most likely, what's his face? This will be This is going to be on the card of the Robert Whitaker and RDR. Guskov versus Krylov, Berylut versus Magomedov, Amabayev versus Tamirov, and Aslan versus Elkana. This is a really good fight card, especially for that of being free. So with that, what do you think about Peter Yan fighting Marcus McGee? Are you excited for that? Would you rather see him fight somebody else? Again, as I stated previously, I'd like to see him fight Sugar a second time, but this will do. Okay, next up, the homie Alex Pereira. He's back in the news. Hold on, let me scroll this down so you can actually see it. Happy Punch comes to us from X and says, well, there's my emails. Jesus. This thing's fucking crazy. Okay. Happy Punch goes, I just want to set the record straight. I always answer the UFC calls. Happy to be back in fight camp. So here's Alex Pereira. In fight camp, it begins. Who do you think he will fight? Do you think he will be fighting Ankalaev or will he fight somebody else? The assumption would be he would fight Ankalaev, but no idea. It's just a quick little one. Alex Pereira is back in fight camp. I don't see him fighting anybody else but Ankalaev, to be honest, and he deserves just an immediate title rematch. The way he stepped in and has fought and just fucking tore through guys, he deserves it. So with that, go ahead and let me know down below what you think about Alex Pereira beginning fight camp again. Going into our last article of the day, Dana White hasn't renewed MMA star's contract after a devastating loss at UFC 316. Dana White made the decision to not renew UFC's contract mere days after a heartbreaking result on Saturday night promotion into the Prudential Center with the main event. Wait, what the fuck? Which fighter? All right. However, the headliner successfully made weight. The same can't be said for every fighter on the card. After failing to hit the flyweight limit and suffering her third consecutive loss, this UFC fighter's journey has reportedly come to an end. Oh, this is probably the girl that lost or missed weight by like 7 pounds. Ariana De Silva. Dana White has not renewed Ariana De Silva's UFC contract to UFC 316 weigh-in. De Silva drastically missed weight, coming in a whopping 6 pounds over. Regardless, her clash with Wang Kong still went ahead. Despite having a weight advantage, the Brazilian ultimately lost the fight via unanimous decision, with the Chinese warrior taking her step towards greatness. Subsequently to AG fight, the 31-year-old has not had her contract renewed by Dana White. Yeah, it probably won't be, and she'll probably be cut. 3 losses, can't make weight. Yeah, out of here. So with that, go ahead and let me know down below what you think. Do you think she should get one final shot, or do you think she should just be cut? You let me know. Okay, excuse me. So with that, I want to now go over to the tubes and go over the UFC Media Day for some of these fighters. Do a little Media Day reaction. I think that'd be some fun. So let's see who's there. We got Cody Garbrandt. Let's see. Should we do? We'll just do it from the UFC website. We'll see what happens. Okay, let me get this all sorted out here though. Okay, so first up, let's see, we'll do they have the timestamps? Okay, so they got Usman and Buckley. So then what I'll do is I'll actually go back and do Cody's first. And then let's go to MMA Junkie's entire YouTube page. Cody got the hair growing out, huh? Cody. Thug Rose. Michael Chiesa, he's fighting? Damn. Okay, so we got quite a few. So I'll go ahead and do Michael Chiesa and then Thug Rose. And then I'll do Cody. And then I'll do Kamaru and Buckley. So that's who I will be reacting to. So let's see. Starting off with Michael Chiesa. Let's get it.
Camp went really well. same old song and dance you hear from every veteran fighter. I feel good. I feel fast. I feel strong. Camp was great. No complaints. I'm injury-free.
Injury-free besides that black eye.
Really excited to get out there and scrap. I like how more frequent my fights have been, which is a good sign that my body's holding up.
Stupid blanket.
Yeah, so I'm excited to get out there and scrap and hopefully not get another black eye.
Talk to us about Court McGee, a fellow veteran like yourself, has been around for a while and he's still fighting at 40. What do you make of this matchup, and is this the type of fight that you wanted?
It's just a fight that came to me. We wanted to fight him in Seattle, and things just didn't come to fruition, and then they came to me with Court. I welcome the matchup. I think it's more challenging of a matchup than the odds
saying Court
makers,
McGee will be a good one.
have it pegged as. I think that Court's going to challenge me in the wrestling and the grappling and bring that type of pressure. I'm very well prepared for a 15-minute fight, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to look for my opportunities to pursue a finish. And his body of work is impressive. He's been around for a very, very long time. Got a tremendous amount of respect for the guy. Obviously, him winning the Ultimate Fighter is a part of that, and just everything he's overcame in his life. And it's nice laying it on the line against guys that you have a lot of respect for. So, yeah, I'm excited for the matchup and look to just kind of keep the ball rolling and stay more active. And it all starts with Saturday night.
Yeah. And I guess what's the drive now at this stage of your fighting career? Is it just to keep busy while the body still holds up? You can still do this? I mean, is it a job after all, right? Like, you are getting paid for this? Or is there something else that drives you to continue fighting?
I mean, just like anybody in any sport, any athlete, I just love competition. I love to fight. And, I've been with the same coach my entire career, and he would have very honest conversations with me if it was time to slow down. And we've talked about this as I've gotten older in my career. Rick's always said, if I'm not looking good in the gym, if I'm taking too many shots, if I'm not able to perform, he would be very honest with me. And I think that that's part of a benefit of being with somebody for so long, is they just know you. So for me, I love to compete. I'm still winning. Who's to say I can't, win this fight, win another one, get another shot in the rankings? I'm no Michael Bisping. I'm not Daniel Cormier, but those guys achieved a lot of great things in the late stages of their career. And if I didn't feel like I could beat the best guys in the world, I wouldn't continue to do this. I wouldn't put myself in harm's way like this. Like you said, I have a career after this, and I'm very thankful that I have that, because I get to maintain my identity of being a fighter for the rest of my life because of that. So I'm here surely for the love of the game. I love to compete, and I'm not even going to bring up the R word. My Uncle Joe always says, don't even talk about it. You just take it fight by fight. And as long as you feel good mentally and physically,
Sugar Sean O'Malley reveals timeline for Octagon returned after UFC 316 amid calls for a move to featherweight.
I love the game, and I love balancing both worlds. I get a lot of joy being in training camp and having to fly all over the country and all over the world, and having to train and do desk shows while balancing training camp. And a lot of people always ask, is that too much? And I said, it's not enough. I would take on more. So
I like that. He just likes to work. I like that.
And I get a lot of enjoyment out of that.
Yeah. Are there things that you want to accomplish as whatever's left in your career? Is there certain things? I know you called to fight on the Seattle card and stuff, but is there any opponents or any little things you would like to check off?
Obviously, I'd like to beat Damian Maia's rear naked choke record. I didn't even know that was a thing until after the Max Griffin fight, and they brought it up.
What's he at?
I think he's at 7, and I'm at 5 or something like that. But I had no idea that I was up in the mix. I just assumed Charles Oliveira just takes the cake for everything in terms of submissions. But after the Max Griffin fight, they said, you're tied for second with Kenny Florian, with Damian Maia at the top. And so that's small things like that. And obviously, if I didn't believe I'm still one of the best guys in the world, I believe I could beat anybody at 170 pounds on any given day. That title aspiration's always going to be in the back of my mind, especially when I'm performing the way that I have been, especially in the gym. So, it's just things like that. I don't have to chase a paycheck. I got life after fighting. I have a broadcasting career that will do more than enough to keep me afloat. So I'm surely here for the love of the game. Yeah.
I think a lot of people are now probably going to go hit the sports book at Michael Chiesa submission now with those comments.
Well, the problem is a good problem. Court McGee's never been submitted. So I'm not going to make a fool of myself by putting myself in bad positions to try to chase a submission, especially one particular one. That would be foolish against a guy like Court. He's very durable. I've heard the stories of him in the gym. He's impossible to submit. He's got gills if you strap on a choke. So it's like, will I look for those opportunities when they present themselves? Absolutely. Will I take them as they come? Absolutely. But I'm not going to try to force something because I'm pursuing Damian Maia's record. I mean, it's not like it's something that's when I wake up in the morning, like, all right, we got to train to beat Damian Maia's record, you know, but it's just like little things like that, little goals that you can kind of push yourself towards and you know, just try to achieve and accomplish that are nice, extra fuel for the fire.
And lastly, for me, you had called out Colby Covington, and a lot of fans got behind that idea. It seemed like an appropriate fight to make for both of you. Whatever happened, did the matchmakers even reach out? Was there even a step towards making that fight?
I don't know if I can really divulge too much. I can say that the powers that be liked the idea. DC and Chael actually really liked it a lot. But, you know, the higher-ups loved the idea of it. And I thought it would have been a great ending to The Ultimate Fighter, but I'm just kind of giving up on calling the guy out. Like, I think that he's going to go a different direction with his career. I think being a streamer is kind of what he's pursuing right now. I don't really think that he's got the desire to compete as much as he did before. So it's just time to move on, you know, let him do what he wants to do. And if he fights again, he fights again. I'm just focused on Courtney.
Oh, you got Kevin Holland.
Just kind of moving him out of the equation.
I'd much rather see Holland and
I just think
Colby
it would have been a
than
great
Chiesa.
finale for The Ultimate Fighter, and you know, it's his loss, and I think it's the fans' loss too. I think it would have been a good fight. I think it would have been a lot of fun.
Juliana
He
Pena
brings a
out
lot of heat with the way he
indefinitely
builds his fights,
after nasty
and I think I
Kimura
have
loss.
the style to beat him in a way that he's never been beat before. But move on.
Yeah.
It's over. Whatever. Next.
Best of luck, and thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Michael. Just since you brought it up, for reference, Damian Maia has 8, also neck crank.
And what am I at, 5 or 6?
You're at 7.
I'm at
So
7.
Oh, shit,
you're
he's at
right
7.
there.
Okay, all right.
And because you also mentioned him, Charles Oliveira is 6, so, you know, he might be coming for you.
Yeah. Charles Oliveira has
Oliveira.
he should
Fuck
have
that
every
guy.
submission record in the book by the time he's done fighting, I'm assuming. So, guy's incredible.
I mean, I don't mean
Reasonable.
fuck that guy. He's a good
to
fighter,
keep
but
it similarly fun
I
here,
don't think he deserves the title
I
fight.
believe this is your 4th fellow Ultimate Fighter winner you will be facing. You are 3-0. Does that add any pressure to be the Ultimate Fighter?
I mean, some would say Brad Katona's the ultimate fighter because he won it twice.
True.
But
Brad
it's
Katona.
not pressure. It's a privilege. Like, I think it's fun to get out
Well,
there
Colton.
and, like, you know, winning the Ultimate Fighter is not a championship belt. You don't really defend the title, but for somebody that has won the Ultimate Fighter, it's like I do kind of I perceive it as that. Like, I think it's like I'm putting, you know, my trophy up against his, you know, tough champ versus tough champ. And it would be nice to go out there and beat Court, be kind of clean out every Ultimate Fighter champ left in my division, except for Usman, but he's way at the top, and I don't think that fight ever happens. But you know, I always welcome those matchups. I think it makes the matchup a little more fun.
And then obviously you face Brad Katona next, right? For the belt. Bantamweight or not, who cares?
Say again.
You face Brad Katona next for the Ultimate Fighter title.
I think I win that fight on size alone.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Hey, Michael.
Hey.
So you've spent a good amount of time behind the desk now as an analyst. Has that changed how you see the fight game at all? Just because you have to think of it from a different angle?
I'll tell you this, being an analyst and having to spend so much time studying fights, I'm very keen on how the sport's evolving, and going back to what I said about when people ask if it's too much, if it's beneficial, if it's a detriment, doing the broadcasting work, there's such thing as visual reps and mental reps, and I'm seeing the sport evolve as I'm studying these young fighters and seeing how they approach the fight game, the techniques they use, and just, for me, I feel like I see the way the sport's evolving from a different lens because I have to be so attentive to the sport.
As I had stated,
there's a big difference
I was
between
going to talk
watching a fight
about
as a
Umar
fan,
Nurmagomedov. Hold on,
which
let me
I'm
get
a
out of
fan
this
first,
shit.
and watching
Come
a
on,
fight
MMA
when you
junkie.
turn off the
Okay,
commentary,
thank you.
you have
I
nobody around
mentioned
and
that-
you're just like hovering over your laptop. Like, that's the way I approach my studying. I don't like to listen to the commentary. I like to come up with my I like to analyze the fights myself without any
I
voices
mentioned that
steering
Peter
me a
that I
different
want
way.
Peter Yan and
So when
Sugar
you-
to
when
have
you
a second
silence
fight.
the
I think the
and you just watch it for what it is with no one around, I feel like you really get to see more of what these young guys are doing, how the sport's evolving, and I'm just really keen
I
on
mentioned that Peter that
how
I
the
want Peter
sport's gonna
Yan and
be in
Sugar
terms of how these people fight, how these fighters perform. over the course of the next 5 years, I think we're going to see.
I mentioned that I want Peter Yan and Chigashan to have a second.
To see guys like me and Court who are past 35 that are still competing at a high level. I think it's going to become a lot more like
Peter
the
Yan and
NFL.
Chigashan.
We're seeing a lot more young guys come into the UFC, and you can only compete at a really high level against the best fighters in the world for so long. I think it works for us.
I mentioned that I want Peter Yan and Chigashan to have a second fight.
We're
I
going to
think
see
the
a
first
big
fight
shift, and there's going to be a lot more youth at the top of the heap.
I mentioned that I want Peter Yan and Chigashan to have a second fight. I think the first fight was really.
And you talk about how you've been doing this for a while, and was there a moment when you realized that maybe broadcasting was something you were good at and something?
I mentioned that I want Peter Yan
that kind of planted the seed a long time ago. It was on The Ultimate Fighter. I never thought of it before I got in the UFC. My sole focus was I want to win Ultimate Fighter. I want to get to the UFC. And he just kind of gave me a couple compliments saying I was good on the other side of the camera and I spoke well and just said a few things to me that kind of planted that seed that I wanted to get into broadcasting. And it's funny because I started to get a little brash on the microphone, and I think I called Kenny Florian out one time on social media. All respect to Kenny. I think he's an incredible fighter, great commentator, great analyst, but I started kind of trying to call my shots and kind of put it out there, and everything came to fruition. But yeah, as time has gone on and I've started to kind of get really comfortable in that position, it's definitely something that's like I'm very, very passionate about. I think that for me, if I wasn't in this position doing the broadcasting work, when my career comes to an end, I think I'd feel like it was for nothing and a total failure if I didn't win a world title. But now I'm in this position where I'm pursuing a different goal outside of competition. And I think that if I get signed to become a UFC commentator, and I feel like I'm on my way there, I feel like that would validate my efforts. We've had probably, well over 1,000 UFC champions. We've probably only had, maybe 20 or 30 UFC commentators. So I feel like if I could crack that lineup, I think it would really validate my body of work and what I've done in the sport. And there's nothing guaranteed there. I still have a lot of work to do to get to that position.
Maybe on like a couple fight nights, but nothing
it's,
big.
Once again, just kind of going back to those goals that I'm pursuing. So yeah, it's something I'm very, very passionate about.
Yeah, last one for me. Would you consider it like your way to pass on knowledge to the fans and other fighters that might be watching?
Yeah, I do. I do feel like that's a good way to pass on my knowledge and the way I perceive the sport and the things that I see, because everybody's different. You sit at the desk with Anthony Smith, Alan Jouban, Rashad Evans, just any of those people. We all don't see the same things, and we're all right in our own ways because it's just a matter of opinion and perception. So I like to pass along my knowledge to the fans. I like to pass along the knowledge to my teammates, especially these young guys that are coming up, especially because, like I said, I'm seeing this sport from a different lens than you would as a fighter.
Back in the news.
So it's great to pass along the knowledge, but I still learn a lot. I mean, when you sit next to Dean Thomas at the desk and you listen to how he breaks these fights down and what he sees, I'm learning on the job as well. So while I'm passing along the knowledge, I'm also gaining it as well.
The homie Alex Piera.
Mike,
whatever.
You talked about it a little bit earlier. You said, this new generation, some of them are just like freak athletes. Like as a guy that's been in this game for a minute, and you've fought
back in the
kind
news.
of the generation that were, we had a lot of guys that were brawlers and that were just tough guys, and would just kind of thug
Alex
it out in
Piera.
there. How
He's back in the
frustrating
news.
is it, like coming from that generation and then seeing these new guys in the gym that might not necessarily understand
Alex
the
Piera.
technique, but because they're just
back
such
in the news.
high-level athletes, they're able to do those things.
Well, that's something that really, if that falls on the shoulders of how they reciprocate the way that they're coached and their coaching staff. Like maybe some of these guys that don't fight to, maybe they have all the physical gifts and all the athletic abilities, but they're not executing techniques in a proper way because they lean on their athleticism. I will say this. You're going to have a short shelf life in the UFC. Like athleticism and natural gifts can only get you so far. You have to have a work ethic and you have to have good technique.
Ankalaev, or will he
But it
fight
also
somebody
falls
else?
on the shoulders
The
of the
assumption
coach.
would
Like
be
maybe
he would fight
is the
Ankalaev.
coach adequate teaching them the right stuff? Are they not able to get through to their athletes? There's a lot of kind of moving parts to that. But that's a big part in what I'm seeing in the sport now is we're not seeing as many of these guys that just kind of draw a line in the sand and just want to stand toe-to-toe and brawl. That's kind of that's part of the foundation the UFC was built on, the Tank Abbotts of the world and things like that. But now we're not seeing as many guys do that, and that's great. That's the evolution of the sport. it's like I think a big part of that is we're seeing kids go to MMA class and start MMA at 5 years old, and then by the time they're 20, 21 years old, they've got 15, 16 years of experience, 15, 16 years of training and doing all the martial arts. I think that that's a big part of that paradigm shift that we're seeing. But I think that really when it comes down to fighters being less disciplined, it's either them and their stubbornness, or it's maybe they don't have a coach that's coaching them right, or really finding a way to get through to them in the way that they need to be taught.
And then kind of going off of that, do you think at a certain point it could almost hurt an athlete the way that they're so focused on, the athleticism and the techniques, but they kind of forget to promote themselves at the same time? Like, do you think winning is going to be good enough for some of these guys? Because I feel like the sport is missing the guys that would go out there and talk trash. They might not have been the best technique-wise and athletically, but we want to see them fight because they make the most noise.
Yeah, that's a great question. That's something that Dean and I talked about a few shows back when we worked together, how there should be, we used to have these athlete summits, and this is before we had like 700 people on the roster. But fighters should be taught on how to build their brand. I think a lot of that revolves around authenticity. It's like, kind of circling back to Colby Covington. Like, Colby's actually a really nice guy off camera. He's just a total dickhead when he's in front of a camera. And that can only work for so long, and only so many people can really do that. But I think that building a brand and making yourself promotable involves like authenticity. Like who are you as a person? Like when you get up here in front of media day, how boring is it to hear the same shit?
Article
I had a
of
good
the day,
camp. I'm in the best shape of my life.
Dana
It's
White hasn't
no,
renewed
tell us
MMA
more. We
stars.
want to know more about you, more about your story. And maybe it's also they need to be asked the right questions, and I think that being authentic and true to who you are and promoting that's going to get through to certain people. But when it gets to being brash, there is a certain aspect of like having to promote fights. Like the way Bilal and JDM kind of went at each other. Like JDM doesn't really seem to be a guy that kind of talks too much trash, but he did the right thing. He's in the right position. You're in a title fight. You got to promote this thing. So I think that when it gets to being in those marquee slots, you got to promote yourself. But I think that these young guys need to be taught on how to promote their brands. And I think that that's something at some point the UFC is going to get behind. Like you got to bring these guys together and teach them, how to promote your brand, how to be authentic. Like what about you that you can share with the world that's going to make people want to tune in for your fights outside of how good of a fighter you are? I think that that's a big part of it.
And then last one, when you talked about Colby earlier, you kind of got fired up. You're like, I don't want to talk about this anymore. Yeah. But you could see that there was the motivation there, and there was kind of like, hey, I don't necessarily have a beef with this guy, but this is a guy that I could hype up a fight with. You're taking it one fight at a time, but is there any specific name that you're like, man, me and this guy could really hype up a fight? I know, like, Kevin Holland's making a run again at 170. Yeah. I know that's one you probably want to run back at some point, but is there any name that you could be like, hey, man, I could talk some trash to this guy and we could really hype this one up?
That's just not true to who I am, honestly. It's like, if it comes organically, like, okay, if it's naturally an organic just kind of disdain for each other, then yeah, I would welcome it. But there's just a time in my career when I tried to force those types of things, and I had to eat crow for it, like the Anthony Pettis fight. I learned so many lessons from that fight, from the fight itself, from the build up to the fight. I'm just not a great trash talker when I try to force it. Like, I was trying to force myself to talk shit to a guy that I am like, Anthony Pettis. This guy's going to be a future Hall of Famer. He's an incredible fighter. I'm forcing myself to talk shit about him. It's like, it's different when you're going against a guy like Colby or Kevin, who's going to bring some heat.
Definitely need to get
that's a totally
an
different
Ethernet
scenario.
cable
For me,
to my computer.
I'm not going to force myself into a
I
situation
look like
where
doo-doo.
I'm going to start getting outside my character and talking a bunch of. It's just not who I am. It's just not. That's just not who I am. So, and it's cool to see Kevin back in the rankings. He had an incredible fight. Two of my former foes getting after it at 316 was pretty cool. I wish him nothing but the best. I think Kevin's a great guy. Colby, not so much. Nice guy on camera, dickhead on camera.
All right, that was a good interview for Michael Chiesa. Let's go ahead and go to the next one. So, okay, next up we got Thug Rose. Doug
Well, chilly in
Rose.
here.
Yeah, it is. It is quite cold. To your right over here, left. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. over
Yeah.
here. Talk to me about this fight. You and Miranda have an interesting history. You guys have trained together. She spoke about your relationship, just a few hours ago when she came here to talk to us.
Real quick, I will be
how did
right
this
back.
fight come about, and were there any sort of second thoughts because of the history between you two?
I mean, no second thoughts or anything. Just it's something that I wasn't like super surprised by, just because when I was matched up to fight Macy and she had pulled out last year. I believe it was about last year. Miranda was one of the first people to kind of throw her name in the hat to jump at that opportunity. And she was matched up to fight Tracy at the time, so she was kind of upset that Tracy got that opportunity over her. So, and we were training together for that fight, mainly just like sparring, not like all the other stuff. Whenever that happened, I kind of always had in the back of my mind that she would want this opportunity, and so when it came up, I wasn't too surprised. But it is what it is.
Yeah. Do you take that personal at all, or just business?
No, but I mean, I know that this is a fight business. You know, she wants what I have. She wants my spot, and I gotta just show her that she has to look for a different spot.
Yeah.
I've not
And
eaten yet
overall,
today,
as far
so
as,
I
like,
got
the
myself a
fight
sandwich.
Itself, do you like the matchup? Do you like what she presents, what she brings to the table, and how your skills match up against hers?
Yeah, I do like the matchup. Excuse me. I do like the matchup. I think that obviously I'd like to be, fighting. I want to fight, higher ranked people, of course. But I know that she's better than maybe what her ranking kind of says. So to me, as a martial artist, I just want to, fight whoever's going to challenge me and who I can test myself against. And yeah, she's a strong girl. She has, certain attributes, but I just believe all of mine are better than hers.
Yeah. And this will be your fifth fight, right? At 125 pounds since you moved up, if I'm not mistaken.
Probably, yeah. Yeah.
Overall, how has been your stay at 125? You've had some mixed results, but how do you feel yourself as a fighter? And do you ever contemplate maybe moving back to 115, or that's done?
No, I know that people say that a lot or whatever and try to tell me what to do, try to tell me, give me advice about my career, or think this and that. But, I know myself and I know what I'm doing. And yeah, maybe I had some mixed results. But there's a lot of factors and variables that go into it that not a lot of people know me or my situation. And so I don't contemplate going back to 115. Only,
I'll be honest, I like Doug
could
Rose,
be
but I think she's
persuaded,
done.
Of course,
She's got two or
I'm
three
a
more
prize
fights.
fighter. So
That's it.
if an opportunity presented itself that was convincing, then I do that. But in actuality, like I'm here to challenge myself. I'm here to push myself, and 115 just I've already like gotten to the top of that and did that, and with the time left that I have in my career, this is the next biggest challenge, and so yeah, I just it got to the point at 115 it was like I had so many rematches and I was fighting the same people. It's just like I want to, and I have that goal of becoming 2 division champion, and I know I hit a speed bump in the last fight. Like I was
more frequent.
had I won that fight, I would have probably been in title talks, or at least like very close to it. And so right now with that loss is kind of a little frustrating, very frustrating. But I still feel like it's very possible, and it's very within reach. I've actually been in this position before where I was making a title run at 115 when I fought Carolina actually here in Atlanta like many years ago, and I thought I was getting that title shot right after that, and it was just, and I lost, and then I had to like kind of rebuild myself, and here I am again, like, all right, I've been here before, so yeah, I just gotta, make a statement and do the best that I can, and God willing, I'll get that title shot and I'll achieve my goals.
Yeah. And do you feel like that? You say it's within reach, but like how far do you think it is? Because you are a former champion, you are a beloved name in the sport, and you always put on exciting fights. That's why you're always at the top billing of this cards. I would imagine the line wouldn't be too long, right?
Yeah, things can change very quickly as we see all the time in the MMA. It's very unpredictable. So, I just got to be ready for whatever and just do my best and let God take care of the rest, and whatever,
Best of luck and
whatever happens. And but I do feel like it's very within reach. It's just a little frustrating because you feel like you just want it your way. You know what I mean? You want to like, as a human being, we want to implement our will, but we just kind of have to submit to God's will and just kind of go with His plan, and so gotta take a little detour, So it's all for the best, though.
Yeah, it's not official yet, but there's been talks of Zhang Weili potentially moving up to challenge Valentina. What do you think about that fight? You Valentina very well, and you fought Zhang Weili.
Mm-hmm.
You think she has a chance of dethroning Valentina?
Go to the next.
I definitely believe she has a chance. I think anybody has a chance, but it's and Weili obviously I think has a better chance than maybe most other people.
And go to
however,
the next.
Valentina, I mean, she's my favorite. Like she's I look up to her. I think she's amazing, and I believe she's the better martial artist. So I think that would make the difference in the fight. I do think Weili is very fast, and she's very strong for her size as well. But Valentina's extremely strong, so and very fast as well. So I think it would be a very interesting matchup. But I definitely would lean more towards Valentina in that one.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Rose, right here, this side.
Mm-hmm. Oh, shoot.
Right here. I'm Julian Virgin.
Yeah, okay.
Good to see you. Again,
Yeah.
I'm Julian Virgin. Rose, you've become a fan favorite because of the level of vulnerability that you've been expressing to the fans since you've come into the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, this season of your life, how would you describe it?
The season of my life, fun, very peaceful. It's not without its turmoil or chaotic moments, but just my faith in God and just like my relationship that I've really like worked on a lot over the last few years. It's like these are actually the things that I've been through, just like that I maybe don't always talk about, or I don't like. I am very vulnerable and I am very open, but there's also things that I still keep private in my life, and it's crazy because it's like it seems like it would be it's tougher than than I would even, let on, and so, but I just have the peace and the joy that surpasses all understanding and the strength of God. So it just helps me carry my cross and with joy and be able to just relish and smile in the face of any type of, just hardships or persecution or just whatever it is, so, yeah, nobody could take my joy.
You spoke about how you fought in Atlanta previously. When you're on these work trips, do you take time to explore the city, and what does that look like for you being here in Atlanta, Georgia?
I really do like Atlanta, and I wish I was more, I guess, it's just always like a risky thing to all right, let's go do something, and then it's like, oh no, I changed my mind, I want to go in my room and hide, So, but no, I really do like it here. We kind of walked around outside a little bit, but yeah, it's just focus on the task at hand and just kind of conserve energy and focus on performing.
And Rose, what has been the theme of this fight camp as you prepare to go to battle? The theme.
The theme. Ooh. Oh gosh. I don't know. Just the martial arts journey, just being a martial artist and enjoying the process and enjoying everything regardless of what's going on, just being a martial artist.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hiccup, my bad.
Hey, Rose. Just really quickly on the Zhang Weili, obviously you have a long history with her. If she does end up moving up and taking the flyweight belt, it's got to be good for you, right? I mean, you have 2 wins over her. And you mentioned that you kind of left 115 because you were tired of rematches. Is that a 3-match you would relish given the changed circumstances?
Oh yeah, for sure. Just because, at 115, obviously we did that twice there. So if she, got through all of that and was able to, then yeah, that would be something that at 125 would obviously make it a little different and more exciting. And obviously with obviously achieving such a big I don't know, achievement that would make it way more interesting for sure. You know, the more that she elevates herself, the more that it's like, okay, I you know, that's a new mountain to climb. She's obviously, I think in her last fight, she showed some great evolution. And so it would just make it more interesting that the more she evolves, the more that I would be interested in that. But yeah, so we'll see.
And is that a fight you'd be more interested or less interested, just given your kind of personal respect for Valentina Shevchenko?
Yeah.
Would you rather not fight someone you respect for that second title?
Yeah, I mean, I respect them both, but I definitely have, like, I guess a more softer place in my heart for Valentina. Not that I don't like Weili at all. Like, I think she's great too. I think she's great for the sport, and you know, just respect a lot of what she's done. Yeah, that would be very interesting. You know, I think they kind of, both fights would be a dream come true in a different, you know, for different reasons. And but with Valentina, I ain't gonna lie, it would be a little bit like it would. I don't know. I really like her as a person. I just gotten to know her a little bit more, so it would be a little bit weird. But I would definitely put that aside and just kind of focus on, you know, just the fan side of myself as a mixed martial artist fan, and also just a martial artist, and being like, I would put myself in the headspace of like, all right, we're gonna test ourselves, and we're gonna just have fun doing this and get paid doing it. Because obviously, I mean, I trained a lot with her, and we didn't get paid for that. So, you know, so I try to just focus on that. But you know, there would be somewhat of mixed feelings, you know. Mm-hmm.
Rose, real quick, I just want to get your thoughts on the expected fight between Amanda Nunes and Kayla Harrison. It's a big fight for women's MMA, and it got a lot of people excited, and I feel like there hasn't been a matchup like that in a while. One of them that I can point to is your rivalry with Joanna Jędrzejczyk that had people going. So what are your thoughts overall for that fight, and what it could do for women's MMA? And I don't know if you maybe feel comfortable leaving us with a prediction for that.
Oh. Man, that was really good for women's MMA. I was very happy and very proud, you know, to see that, just the way like the athletes handle themselves, and very you know, respectful, but also very like we can find excitement in like legit martial artists that are just there to like for that reason and alone. And not that I'm not entertained by certain you know, just whatever like rivalries and things that when it gets a little you know, I guess chatty and this and that, or catty, so to speak. But I really appreciated like just the way that they, you know, were, I guess, represented women's MMA. And so definitely very excited for that fight. And it'd be interesting to see how Kayla Harrison deals with Amanda striking. I think that's probably maybe like mostly what everybody might be thinking, or that might be the big question. But her striking is looking better and better each time she gets in there. So, and then, yeah, it'd be interesting to see if she can get her hands on Amanda and see. But, I mean, Amanda's got great jiu-jitsu, and she's super strong. So, a prediction, I don't know if I have one just yet. But, man, I don't know. I love them both. And Kayla Harrison made me a huge fan of hers, just the way that she represented, you know, her faith in Jesus, and she just like put it out there and spreads the gospel like that. That to me, I'm a little biased when it comes to that, but I mean, so I'm be rooting for her, but I love Amanda Nunes. I think she's, you know, obviously the greatest. So, yeah, I'll be watching.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, Rose. So pretty recently, Miranda Maverick said that it'd be a heck of a charity event to have people come in and watch you guys spar. Are you excited about the technical battle that you think this fight's going to bring?
Yeah, I think that I'm prepared for all of it, you know. I'm prepared for, you know, it to go all 3 rounds, or whether it's just going to be a quick finish. So to me, it's all about my preparation and the adjustments that we've made since looking back at our training footage and things like that, and then just, you know, watching how she kind of fights and stuff. Yeah, but I'm truly prepared for all of it. So I don't know about a charity event, or what was that?
Miranda said quote, when we spar, we said it would be a heck of a charity event to just put on live sparring where people would come in and watch fighters get rounds.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess in general, I think that it's kind of one of those weird etiquette things where like you know, there's so much that happens in the gym, and training is definitely different from the fight, but there's so many like training clips that it's like, man, if somebody would see this would be crazy, you know what I mean? But as far as our rounds, I mean, I think they were pretty decent rounds. I don't know that I don't know. It is what it is. I think it's I don't know. I don't know if like charity event or whatever. I don't know what that means, but you know, I never post really like my sparring footage, but it would be great to do that I know people would really enjoy that in general, just like with anybody. So I don't know, like her rounds with me versus anybody else. I don't know. There's some that are good, some that are just okay, you know what I mean? So I don't know.
Yeah.
But maybe she's trying to hype up our fight, you know, which I do believe is going to be very, I've evolved a lot in this training camp, so I'm just really excited to put that on display and let it translate into the fight, because that's my biggest like prayer and hope, is that what I've done, I have the full confidence that I'm fully prepared. It's like, okay, now what I've done, I just got to make it perform and translate into the fight. So yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned you've done a lot of evolving. Are there any adjustments or tweaks, either physically or mentally, that you've made that you're especially proud of heading into this camp?
Yeah, actually. I just like was looking back at like old training footage when I like first kind of was preparing for this fight, and it's just funny because like, you know, Pat has been telling me for probably many years, but I just like never really fully seen it the way that he was saying it.
Hello, the viewers. How are you guys doing
but
today?
He's like, why are you letting these people do this? You know, or like, why are you letting
Sorry
this,
for the
why are
shitty
you
quality.
Just, like, letting this happen? And I'm like,
I don't have a good
what are you
Ethernet
talking
cable
about?
yet.
I'm trying my hardest, you know, and I'm just like, I'm breathing heavy, you know, like, and then when I go back and watch, and it's funny because like I would watch the same thing back then, and it's like it looked normal to me, but then all of a sudden when I watched it, it was like the smoke cleared from my eyes, and I could just see like, yeah, why am I just letting stuff happen, or why am I, you know, I know I could be doing something else right there, you know? And so all of a sudden it just, once I made that realization, it was like, it changed a huge, it turned a huge corner for me in my training and my results and my performance in my training. So that was a huge one. And then just being on the same page and not just being able to see eye to eye on a lot of things within the team and stuff has been huge. And so, yeah. And then I think like having the off season for this fight, like just a little bit more time to like kind of lift more weights and stuff going into a camp.
Who do you guys got? You guys think Thug Rose will win or Miranda Maverick?
I think just overall,
I wanted Miranda Maverick to fight Tracy Cortez at UFC 317
and stuff like that has been helpful.
It is what it is.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Or did I say 314? I meant 317.
Mm-hmm.
You are 2 times UFC champion.
Yeah. Thank
What's
you.
your reaction to Jiří Procházka
Yeah.
turning down the UFC fight to focus on his finishing his university degree?
I'm sorry, say that again.
What's your reaction
Who
to
gives
Jiří
a shit?
Procházka turning down the UFC title shot and focusing on his finishing the university degree?
What a
Former
stupid
light
question for
heavyweight
Thug
champion.
Rose. Who gives a fuck?
Former
Why does she care?
light
Jiří
heavyweight
Procházka.
champ. Oh, Yuri, he turned down the title shot?
Yeah.
Oh, I
To
didn't know
finish
that.
his okay.
Oh, to stay in school?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, he's very smart. I support him in that, and yeah, I think.
What a stupid question.
You know, it's funny. I actually went through many times throughout my career and was like, I'm done with this. And I even like going off of I think it might be even the second Carla loss. I actually enrolled in some classes for like a few months, and I was like, yeah, this ain't it, you know. So I can relate to that, and I totally understand the thought process of like, you know, wanting to change career paths and things like that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Is he retired, or is he just like taking a break?
He's just finishing the school right now. In a few
Oh.
I
weeks.
think he just wants
Okay.
something
Yeah,
for
so
afterwards. After
Okay, so
after
yeah,
he's done
so I
fighting.
think that's very smart. You know, just do that, and I mean, I'm sure he's still got a lot of time, and I think I think that'll be good for him. I think it'll just kind of revitalize him and be able to come back stronger. And I'm a big fan of his, so it'll be cool to see. Okay, thank you guys.
The Rose. All
One more.
right. Oh, one more. Just kidding.
Right here.
You got me too.
Thank you. Rose, this is the fight against Miranda. For you, it's kind of fight where you can more lose than to gain. I mean, if you'll win, you'll stay where you are. If you lose, in the worst case scenario, you can go out of top 10. So does this fact make extra pressure on you?
I mean, I guess naturally it would. But me as a martial artist, I just gotta, fight who's in front of me. And so obviously she's behind in the rankings, but as far as like an opponent, like she's, I guess earned the right to be here. And so she's on a impressive win streak. And so so I just have to look at it as a martial artist and think that that's just the next challenge in front of me and not pay attention to all the other stuff, even though it is, I think, I guess that's normal and natural to think about, but I try not to think about it too much because she poses a threat that I have to overcome, and regardless of the result, I just have to perform my best and, just let go of the rest.
And one quick from me, how will look the perfect 2025 for you, if we're talking about UFC?
I'm sorry, what?
How will look the perfect year 2025 for you, if we're talking about...
perfect year? Yeah, perfect year would be...
Year's halfway over, bro.
Probably,
Let's get past Saturday
this
first.
fight and then maybe
Gotta
win
see how
2
she
more,
is.
and hopefully somewhere in there as a title shot, and that would be perfect.
Let it be. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right. So that is it for Thug Rose. On to the next one. So now I will go to Cody's. Let's see. Here we go. Oh, I got the hiccups like crazy. All right. Now we got No Love. No love. Baby, don't hurt me.
It's been a while since
No
we've
more.
seen you. I see you got a new look, the tattoo. Can you talk to us about the
Got the
inspiration
face
of that?
tat and he got the long hair. Sheesh.
Yeah, I just love artwork, tattoos. Actually, I was getting my armpit done. And,
Ow, your
I
armpit?
was hurting
Fuck
a little
that.
bit, so I was like trying to cop out to my tattooer. I was like, let's put one on the face. So I went to the face and did it, and just to give me some time to
Oh my gosh.
not act like it's sissy on the armpit. So
Oh, okay,
we'll put
next
the,
up we
the
got
face tattoo on and
Thug
just
Rose.
went with it, full send.
Thug Rose.
Yeah, it is. And as I said, last time we saw you was in for UFC 300. So I want to ask you, have you missed being back? And I guess what's been the
That was such a good fight at
the
UFC
wait,
300.
I guess, for you to get back in the cage.
Damn, that was already over a year.
Man,
Fuck.
this is everything to me.
I thought he
You know,
fought
I've
once after
sacrificed
that.
my whole life for these opportunities, for these, moments, for fight camps, for it all to be in there. It was a goal to always be a UFC world champion, make it to the UFC, to fight in the big stage all across the world. So being out, something that you love.
That is it
and
for
would
Thug
do anything
Rose.
for it
On
is
to the next
challenging
one.
mentally, emotionally, physically. Especially within the fight with at UFC 300. I was feeling great. Against a good adversary in Davison Figueiredo. I ended up getting taken down in the second round and had really bad vertigo. So I had to go through extensive, therapy, specialist. Was in and out of the hospital. Would be put in the hospital from vertigo. So
Jesus.
that uncertainty of not knowing when, I was going to even just be a regular, back to my regular self. I couldn't even lay down, sleep. It was
Hanging
was
with the
troubling,
boys.
but I kept
Anybody
faith in
remember that
myself,
from Ultimate Fighter? That shit
prayed
was
to my
funny as
God,
fuck.
I had a close team, family that loved me and supported me, and was going to get me through it. And I would like to take hats off to the UFC performance. The doctors there, the PT, everyone there. They put my health first. Instead of just jumping me back in the cage to fight. As the fighters wanted to do, I wanted to do. When I was sitting in that hospital bed, I was wanting to do anything to get able to fight, weigh in a fight, but there was no way that I was making it. So they put my health first and really took care of me and got me the best help that I needed to get better, and I felt better than ever. I've had a great camp. You know, we're here talking about the fight, but, you know, I'm just very excited to go out there and fight on Saturday for a lot of reasons, but this is the best I felt in a while. Just mental clarity, physically, emotionally. I'm just excited to go on there, and Hani Barcelos is a dog. You know, that's why I asked for this fight, and just excited to be back, you know, 14 months away.
Yeah. Glad you're doing well, man. And I got to ask you, like, you've had a lot of health setbacks throughout your career, which is why we've seen, you know, those periods of inactivity and whatnot. How much has that tested your drive and I guess your want in this sport? Because I think a lot of fighters or a lot of people that would go through that would probably at some point just bail out entirely on the sport. But here you are, you know, returning and you're still at it.
Yeah, I look at it like this. I was under 2 years in the UFC, became a world champion. 6 fights, blasted to the top, came out of nowhere, you know, and that was that part of my life. You know, this is part of life. Like, hey, it was easy to win the title, you know what I mean? It's harder to stay here, and that's what I'm doing. I'm staying here, you know. I think that's the mindset, the mentality.
That's a good mindset to have.
Yeah, I'm a former world champion.
Probably won't
it's
get
great, love it.
a title shot ever again. But just to be able to stay and not get kind of kicked out,
it didn't
good.
fulfill me. You know, so for me to be here, going through what I go through, you know, the injuries, setbacks, losses, whatever you want to call it, to wake up every day and chase this dream, to push yourself to the limit, to set goals inside of the fight, you know, the fight career I'm talking about, something that wakes me up every day, you know. It motivates me, it scares me, it fills me with just all kinds of different emotions, you know, to go in there and fight another man that's willing to do whatever to get the win, to provide for his family, you know, and that's what it is at the end of the day. Like, I got a family that I'm trying to provide for and, you know, make a good life for. So fighting was my outlet, it was my gift, you know, I got to use it. So I'm blessed with the skills and just go out there and have fun out there, and that's it. So I think that what keeps me coming back and just showing up every day, you know, no excuses, you know, no one's going to save you, you know, you just got to work hard. No one cares how hard you know, you just got to do it yourself.
Yeah. Did it ever get close to you hanging it up, or no? You always knew you were going to return.
I mean, I've wanted to hang it up even before I was a professional. You know what I mean? Like, why do I do this? Well, why do I want to do this? But I had no other option. You know, fighting was my way out. You know, all my friends are hooked on drugs, dead, locked up. You know, not happy with life. I was like, man, if I can just tunnel in, zone in, and grind at this. You know, I had, you know, everyone told me I was, you know, I had good potential and was, you know, all this and that, but I was like, man, he really believed it. And then, you know, I made those sacrifices, you know, moving out to Alpha Male and training with those guys and seeing how talented I was without even really having any experience in fighting besides just, you know, I started training, you know, as a martial artist. I didn't grow up in a martial art dojo, a jiu-jitsu academy. We grew up street fighting, boxing, and wrestling. You know, and going out there to the gym and seeing those talented, you know, humans train to fight and the way they live the martial arts as martial artists was inspiring to be around. And I just like, and this is where I need to be. Got there and, you know, had some luck, got, you know, really good friendships, family from that, and just kind of took off from there and knew that's what I wanted to do. But it's all the time. I mean, even after I won the world title, I wanted to be done. You know, I was like, because it didn't fulfill me. You know, being a world champion, like, it wasn't nothing. You got to think I sat about that and focused on that and worked for that for over a decade. And then when I got the title, it was like, this is it. You know, it wasn't.
There's been a lot of people that have said that about the title.
But I love fighting so much that I need fighting. You know, I truly do need fighting in my life to help me battle my demons, focus, you know, to have that just hunger to wake up and attack every day like I do, you know. And also just the unknowing of the future. Like, yeah, we can say I had a great camp, feeling good, but you still don't know what's going to happen inside that octagon come Saturday night. You can be prepared as you want, but it's still the unknowing. I think that's what, like, excites me every day, to get up and train and, you know, and go after it.
Yeah. And lastly, can you give us a preview of this fight with Hani Barcelos and what are you expecting from him? A veteran like yourself, been around for a while.
Yeah, Hani's been around for a while. You know, looks really good in his last few fights. You know, he's a dog, you know, so, you know, it's going to be a fight, and I'm excited for that. You know, I'm prepared wherever it needs to be, wherever it needs to go to get this win. Just focused on that, you know, and hope he had a great preparation, and, you know, the best of luck to him, and excited to get to him Saturday.
Hey, Cody. I saw on Instagram you recently, I think about 2 weeks ago, hit 3 years sobriety. So congratulations on that. Can you sort of speak to how that journey has been, as you know, as it coincides with your mixed martial arts journey?
Yeah, you know, thank you for that. I appreciate it. You know, being sober has been a game changer for me. Not that I was a big addict or, you know, but, you know, when I chose to do that, it was
hanging with the boys.
So for
He
me,
was fucked up that day.
For my, you know, career, it's amazing. As a father, it's amazing. As a boyfriend, it's amazing. As, you know, as a son, you know, a brother, like it changed my life in a way that I didn't think that it would, you know, but as I keep progressing and I'm you know, in that, you know, sobriety, I'm stronger. I feel better. I feel clear, you know. 6 months I haven't, you know, smoked weed either, and I've smoked weed since I was, I don't know, 12 years old, 13 years old. So man, just like the clarity that I have going in, you know, just, it's nice, man. Like,
Yes, anybody that says weed is good for you is fucking
that,
stupid. They're probably the
mental
dumbest
edge,
people you'll ever
you know,
meet. It
clarity
doesn't do
inside
fucking anything for you.
my career, but also in my life, you know, like there's no coping mechanisms. You face your fears and you get up every day and tackle them no matter what. We all go through things, you know. It's like we don't need to mask them with drugs or alcohol. And I come from a long line of, you know, addicts. You know, my father's an addict, been in prison my whole life, you know. Had a lot of examples in my life that were, you know, family members and uncles that been incarcerated, you know, addicts. So it's, you know, something that I never wanted to do, and I always wanted to make my mom super proud, you know. So I just, you know, if I can quit one thing that's not, you know, a bad habit, then, but it's helped out a lot in life and in my career, just focus, you know. So, you know, it's a good living.
Congratulations on that. Sort of related, Sean O'Malley kind of famously, ahead of this UFC 316 fight, mentioned that he had stopped smoking weed this year. He obviously lost, but y'all have a little bit of a history of back and forth. With the win this weekend, is that kind of a fight you would still like to get to at some point?
Yeah, he should have kept smoking because he looked like shit. But yeah, whatever he had to do, you know. Sometimes, you know, you lose and you try to reinvent yourself and find yourself. And at the end of the day, man, like, you know who you are.
I don't think Sean looked bad.
I know.
Stop. Oh, well.
I'm, you know, one of the best fighters in the world. So
he had a lot of
like,
takedown defenses, and he had some good hits. I don't think it looked like shit. He just got caught.
You need to do this and do that. Just remember what got you there and who you are at the end of the day. But yeah, that's a fight that, you know, definitely, I think that's a huge pay-per-view sale fight, Sean and I. But like I said, I'm focused on this fight this Saturday, and then we'll let, you know, everything else fall in line.
Do want to go one more to that, though, because after 316, big topic of conversation, Merab Dvalishvili may be the greatest bantamweight of all time. As a bantamweight champion yourself, do you think he's the greatest? Kind of, where do you come down on this argument?
I personally, I like Merab. I think he's a great, you know, great human. I mean, just his hard work and his fighting style and just how he is as a person, you know, really humble guy. Great fighter, you know, he's you know, turn it up. You know, he's doing well, he's winning, he's doing his thing in there. As far as best, I mean, greatest, I mean, you'd have to line him up. You know, I think truly Dominic Cruz is the greatest bantamweight of all time. He's, you know, from WC day to here, like, I think Dominic Cruz has that. You know, it's hard to keep saying, oh, it's the best, It's like, how many best or greatest can you have in a weight class? You know, and that just shows, too, with the bantamweight how talented it is. The greatest. How many people you've heard of that the greatest? You had Henry Cejudo that was in there, that was a bantamweight, flyweight champion, one of the, you know, greatest as well. Our weight division is stacked. You know, there's so many talented fighters in that division.
Thanks, and just
so what sucks about the UFC right now?
This is the last fight in your current UFC deal.
So
Are you
many
looking to stay with the
talented fighters.
Maybe
there's just no stars.
Outside, just kind of get through this week and then move from there.
Yeah, see, I do a lot of things that I don't need to publicize or, hey, I'm doing this. I signed a new deal. Ali, my manager, got me a new
Congratulations.
good deal. He's always, man, taking care of me. So, you know, like, for me, it's just another fight. You know, I've obviously loved the UFC, want to be with the UFC. It's the best organization in the world. So I let him handle that. You know, it's just another fight for me. Like, yeah, I'm grateful that, you know, and and don't take it in a negative way. But I don't need to go out and praise, new 4-fight deal. Like, I'm here, like it's
okay.
great.
Well, he's got
Thankful
4
to be
fights
here for another
after
contract, but it's for me, it's another fight, and I got to get the job done.
Thank you.
Cody, right here.
Good interviews today. Much better interviews than last week. The interviews last week fucking
wanted
sucked.
to get into that a little bit because we've seen with like professional golfers who get vertigo on the golf course, they get it to the point where like they'll be walking down the fairway and they have to lie down because it's so bad. That's golfing. You got to go in there and you got to deal with somebody that's punching you in the face for 15 or 25 minutes. Plus, you've got to be able to, be balanced and light on your feet on there. So when it came to the vertigo, like, was it to the point that you couldn't even like move side to side without getting off balance or things like that?
Oh, it was horrible. It was actually in the Davison fight when I got taken down. And that's why I laid there. I was like, oh man, I couldn't. It's just spinning so bad. I felt like I had the drunk spins, and I'm like, I got Davison, saying, come on, Cody. And I was like, well, like, once I stop spinning, man, I'm getting up. We're getting after it, but they just never stopped. And, then training takes in, I was in a vulnerable position where he could really elbow the shit out of me. I was trying to hold his head, and I really didn't know. I couldn't really see, but I could hear. Like, I just feel like I was on a carousel. I could know my coaches were on the right, so I knew I was positioned in the right. But like in those transitions of the arm choke and then getting the hooks in, like my body wasn't reacting.
Fuck,
like,
I did not throw up when that happens. Oh my gosh. Ew.
And then I was in, just after the fight, I ended up having to just like tap out. It was horrible. And then go in the back, and Heather and Olivia took care of me. They gave me some like stuff to help me from throwing up. Constantly threw up.
Oh, there you go.
I went back and watched the fight at my house, and I kept like laying my head back a little bit and running to the bathroom throwing up. Finally, I went to the hospital, and I was admitted to there and just kept throwing up. And thought we had it right. Went to see Dr. Collins in UPMC in Pittsburgh. Did their vestibular therapy. Did all that again. I was like, all right, cool, feeling good. Body was feeling good. I got back in the training. Like, it was all right. And then, fight week with Miles Jones, that Tuesday I woke up and told my girlfriend, I was like, man, I got vertigo. And I just couldn't stop throwing up. Didn't even know where I was at. She had to help me to the car, drive me there. We drove me to the UFC PI. Heather advised us to go there. Dr. Davison saw us at the hospital. Drugged me up so much that I'd wake up, throw up, pass back out. Like, I was just out of it. And it was like a couple months, man, I just felt not myself. Had to go back to the UPMC, go through their vestibular therapy.
Jesus.
So like I said, like that 14 months out wasn't just like I chose to be out. Like, I was dying to get back. Like, I loved to fight. I enjoyed to fight. Like, Davison fight was good, until it wasn't. That's something that I couldn't control inside there. But this camp's been good. I'm just hoping that everything stays afloat, make the weight, and just go have fun on Saturday.
And then you talked about earlier about, how there's been so many points in my life where I've been done with fighting. And like, I kind of relate to it, right? Because it's sort of that addictive personality thing where you're like, man, I want to do this. And then you get there and you're like, okay, I got here. Yeah. So what other things do you have in your life to kind of keep you on track, when you get to that point with fighting? Like, all right, I'm bored of this, but I know I got to do it because it's my job. Like, we see the tattoos, we see the motorcycles. Yeah. So like, what sort of things can you go to when you get tired of fighting and be like, man, I got to check out for a day or 25 minutes or anything like that?
Yeah, definitely the motorcycles. I have a business partner, Lawrence Allen. We're starting No Love Cycles, so we're doing frame-up custom FXR builds. We actually have our first giveaway bike. Should be wrapping up in the next month, so look for that on No Love Cycles and our Instagram pages for that giveaway, how to enter it. But yeah, dude, work on the bikes is like awesome. Like, Lawrence, I've known him for years and became a real close friend of mine. Helps me out. He's a wizard with motorcycles. I mean, I can pick up a bolt that's in my garage. I'm like, dude, what's this off of? I'm like, dude, it's here. He's like, oh, that's your bracket to your exhaust. And I'm like, oh shit. Like, he's on FaceTime in Tennessee. You know what I mean? I FaceTime him and I have shitty Wi-Fi in my garage. I'm like, dude, like, I can't get this clutch out. Like, he's like, oh, So it's good, man. It gives me something else to think about. Like, I'll be in there, and I'm like, it's one of those things like, if you're taking the primary off, like, you have to do it all. Like, I can't, like, if I can't sleep that night. If I know I got it half taken apart, I have to go down and do it. And he's the same way. He's a hard worker. He's super talented. And also, man, he's just a good dude to be around, good energy. So we're excited for that, adventure together with No Love Cycles. So definitely the motorcycles, and also riding. I love riding. Just getting on the bike and just, go and riding. Like, things that I like to do and enjoy to do can kill you. But, it's like, hey, I'm going to go ride my bike, just go have some fun. I'm going to go ride to the gym. Hope I don't crash on the way and die. I hope I don't get my leg broken in sparring. And like I'd ride my bike and I'm riding there. I'm like, man, I hope
did
I
that
don't,
pop up
like,
for?
I literally think that all the time. Like, I hope I don't break my leg kicking so I can ride my bike back, or it's gonna have to get towed. That's the shit that goes in my head when I go to the gym. I'm on the bike. I'm like, damn, but it's freeing. I like it. I pull up on the bike, and so for me, horses too. Spending time with my family. I got an amazing girlfriend, son. I mean, I'm winning at life. That's the thing. Like, the wins and losses in this, keep me afloat and keep me able to do and provide. But like at the end of the day, man, like they're my rock. They're who I go to. So life is good for me with whatever. Wherever I'm at, I know I always can count on them to have people that care about me and will pick me up when I need, carried.
That it? Almost one more.
Hey, Cody, so you mentioned, you said you were winning at life with your family and everything you've got going on out of the cage. At what point did you realize that that is what you wanted and you wanted to win at life that way?
I think that's always something I wanted. I didn't care about the fame, the money, like anything like that at all. Like, that's all nice. I mean, yeah, money is great to live. And like, once you was a world champion, it was like, okay. I believed in myself when no one believed in myself to make it here. Even before I even had an amateur fight, So it was like, wasn't that big deal to me. So I knew that wasn't going to make me happy. So what truly was going to make me happy is having that stuff that really money can't buy, not no arena can buy, So that at the end of the day, man, like when you have that, like I think that's your richest part of you. The family that loves you, cares about you, close knit of friends, coaches, teammates that you like to be around, you like their energy, because this career is short and this life's short, like
Definitely,
who knows?
yeah.
It could be the last fight. We don't ever know. One injury away, even that's in the day. Tomorrow's never promised. So for me, like just taking those little things and never taking them for granted, and just thankful that I have the people that I have in my life, where I'm at, So that's it, man. Just good energy. I'm excited to go out there on Saturday and put on performance, and that's just like my thank you to them. That's on me. I go out there and fight and win. It's we all win. It's not just me. And that's why I take it so hard when I lose, because it's like, they instill so much into me, my coaches, my teammates, my family, my friends. So winning at life is just being able to come home to them, win or lose. It's like, hey, they still got my back. Always.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
All right. That is it for Cody Garbrandt's Media Day interview. Now let me go ahead and get to Usman's.
It's a little light in here.
All right. Now we got Kamaru Usman.
Kamaru, welcome back.
Thank you.
To your right or left, sorry. I keep doing that.
This guy
how does
again.
it feel to be back? It's been almost 2 years, right? Last time you fought was 2023. How does it feel to be back in training camp, cutting weight, fight week, all that?
Well, the training camp aspect is, I don't think that's fun for almost anyone, but it feels great to be back to all of this. With the time off, it really puts things in perspective of just how blessed we are to experience something like this.
No love.
So I'm just thankful.
No love.
And
Baby, don't
I'm
hurt
sure whenever you wanted to come back, you could have just hit up the UFC and they would have had a fight for you. So why the wait between the fight against Hamza in 2023 till now?
Why the wait?
Yeah, like
All
why
right, now
didn't
we
you
got
fight any earlier?
no
Like
love.
why now?
No love.
I mean, there's really,
Baby,
I don't
don't
know.
hurt me.
It's been a while since
No
we've
more.
seen you.
Just being in
Fuck.
a place where you have the opportunity
Oh.
to kind of heal some injuries. You have the opportunity to kind of take some
All right,
time
now
off.
we got
I was pretty
love.
active there for
no love.
X amount of numbers of years, even as a champion. So,
All right. Now we got
you
no
kind of
love.
get to a place where it's like,
No
"Ah,
love."
maybe we could take a breath here and see what's next.
Yeah.
All
Has
right,
that
now
been
we
nice? Yeah,
got
you were a very active
no love.
champion. Has it been
No
nice to be
love.
able to kind of sit back
Baby,
and
don't
not
hurt
have
me.
the
It's been
pressure
a
of
while.
like, man, I gotta defend the title and then after that
All right,
again and
now
again?
we got no love. No love.
It's yes and no, because it's been nice to
No love.
see other things
No
and
Baby,
open
don't
up
hurt
your
me.
It's been a
your
while.
peripherals, your vision to all the other things outside that you
All right, now we
normally
got
wouldn't be focused on
no
when
love.
you're just tunnel vision
love.
and training and defending the belt. So, but this is just one aspect of our lives. We have
All right. Now
I
we
want to say
got
long life, but it doesn't
no-
feel so long. We have a life to live. We have other things
right,
that we
now
need to
we
do in this
got
world, whether it's
no love.
being a
No love.
father, a great father,
Baby,
or
don't hurt me.
It's been
a
a while
partner, a
since
brother,
we
or
No
sister,
more.
or husband, or
you
businessman,
got a
or
new
whatever
book,
it is. There's a lot of other things to do, and with fighting, it gives you just such perspective because you're so
All right,
honed in
now we got
and
no
focused on
love.
being this. So
No
that time
love.
off just kind of gave me some
Baby,
time
don't hurt me.
to see
been a
other
while.
things. But then you understand there's other problems out there other than just fighting. So it's
All
been
right, now
nice
we
and
got
at the same time
no love.
puts things in perspective.
No love.
Buckley called you out in December. When he called you out, did you feel like that was going to be the next
All
fight?
right, now we
and
got
also, what have
no
you made
love.
of his run at
No love.
170 pounds?
Baby, don't hurt
No,
me.
I didn't
been a
really
while
think it
since
would be
we
the next.
saw
It was a time where
you-
it could
you
have
got a
been
new look, the tattoo
Shafkat.
thing.
It was a time where it could have been potentially JDM or.
And he
so
got the
it-
long hair.
It didn't matter to me. It was just I wanted to get in here and feel that competition again. And Buckley's done a phenomenal job with putting himself in a place where he is able to get a fight
right,
like
now we
this.
got
But
no
if I'm
love.
Buckley, if I'm anyone else
No
in the
love.
division, 100%.
Baby,
This is
don't
exactly
hurt
what
me.
I
It's been a while
was
since
doing.
No more.
Maybe not the way that they're doing it, but this is exactly what I was doing when I was on the come up, and I wanted to fight Wonder Boy, Woodley, and Covington, and all these guys, or Damian Maya.
Fighting with my
This
way
is, I guess, it's part of the job.
out. My friends are.
And I got to ask you, like, obviously you're focused on the fight on Saturday, but beyond that, is there, are you focused on getting your belt back? What goals do you have now for this part of your career? Is it still the belt to become champion once again?
Being 100% honest, I mean, absolutely. Of course. We want to be champions.
who wouldn't
If you
wanna
don't wanna
be-
be
get the
champion?
belt?
What are you
Well, I
doing?
guess
This is not a
no
go
luck. You don't get
outside,
to talk
let's
about the
just
belt.
shoot hoops, play a basketball game. If you don't want to be champion, what are you doing? So absolutely, that is in the peripheral. That is what I want. But I would also say, being fully honest, there's a feeling that you get from competition that you can't explain. That's more powerful than anything else. It's that feeling of working as hard as possible as you possibly can and going out there and knowing that this man worked as hard as he possibly could and you getting the best of him, being able to best that man. There's that feeling. It's so addicting. And I want to feel that a couple more times before I transcend into something else.
Yeah. And lastly, keeping in mind that the belt is obviously something you still want, how do you see your path there?
My path there, just pretty simple. I just lay out the map right here is finish Buckley this weekend and then wait for the winner of, I believe, Islam and JDM, which is going to be an incredible fight. Such a great thing now having Islam come up into the division. You know, who wouldn't buy a ticket to that? Former pound for pound and current pound for pound. And I love Islam. Islam's a great fighter. I think that's something that we will both remember forever. Win that and go ahead and probably vacate, go up. Myself, Dricus du Plessis, if he is the champion, or Khamzat Chimaev too, if Dricus is no longer the champion. We do that if Dricus is the champion, we do that in the first card in Africa. I mean, that's another blockbuster. These are back-to-back blockbuster fights.
Winning the belts and vacating. It's so annoying.
And who wouldn't watch those?
How about defend the belt and if you lose, then step up?
And then after
Come on,
that,
man.
now you're sitting with 2 belts, and it's like, what do we do next? So that's, I would say, long-term goal. In the
This
back of my mind.
stupid.
Thank you.
I can't stand when they just
Take him
vacate
all
the
right-
belt.
right
It's the
next to
most
him.
annoying
So
thing
you
ever.
just sort of talked about what.
Now
a very
I want him to
audacious
lose just
plan,
so he
right?
can't do
Have
that.
you spoken with the UFC? Has there been any conversations about? I go out here, I perform against Buckley. I'm next in line for the winner of Islam JDM?
I wouldn't say necessarily spoken with them, but I think that's the UFC is and the powers that may be are very smart, man, and they do their job. They know how to make money. So if it makes money, it makes sense. So, and it's not far fetched. Did any of those plans seem crazy? No. So I think I'm in a position to where we could potentially make those things happen. So, hey, if we're rolling, let's keep rolling.
Fantastic. Buckley was in here earlier, and he sort of just mentioned offhand he thinks welterweight's the best division in the sport, and he was pretty dismissive of Islam Makhachev's chance. It sounds like you're less dismissive of Islam, but do you agree that welterweight is the best division? How do you like his opportunity here?
Well, I think it's everyone's taste, acquired taste of what you want. If you want to see some fast guys throwing a bunch of punches and stuff, you know, obviously those lower weight classes are going to be something you pay attention to. If you want to see, not necessarily as fast of guys, but when they touch you with a shot, you go to sleep. Yeah, those upper weights are what you're going to kind of be wanting to pay attention to. But welterweight is kind of
a mix,
the cream of the crop, because we all know genetically most men are in that weight category. From lightweight to welterweight, I think most men on the planet kind of fall into that category. So you see a lot more competitive fights there. So it's a lot more fun because I don't want to say a lot more fun, but they pack punch, they have the power, and then they have the speed as well. So that's just a happy medium. So you get a lot more competitive and really, really good fights there. Right now it's on fire. But right now also the bantamweight's on fire. You know, right now with what's his name, with Ilya Topuria moving up to lightweight. Lightweight's always been on fire with Justin Gaethje and Ilya and Charles and Islam. So yeah, I would say welterweight definitely is up there.
Shifting gears a little, this is your first non-pay-per-view bout in 7 years. You're still obviously the main event.
That's crazy.
But does it feel any different this week with that kind of change?
No. But yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
Obviously, it's a little lighter in here. But no, once you're in it, once you're in the shit, you're in it. It's fight week. And so if you're not dialed in to getting all those, things done, hitting the markers and the bench, the things you have to get done, then all of this can distract you and you're not focused on that fight. So when you're focused on that fight and you're dialed in, it's routine now. So at the end of the day, I'm still going to walk out last, which is kind of what I'm accustomed to. The last fight of the night, when you're done, the event's over, you get to go home. You don't have to wait around and do other things. So, yeah.
Thanks. And last one from me. Did a face-off with Buckley yesterday. He said something, how's it feel to face the new king? What do you make of his energy coming into this? You've been doing this a long time. Do you think he's looking past you, given his current run? Just sort of speak on that if you could.
No, I don't.
Buckley never looks past anybody. He just gets to talk shit.
How does it feel to be going up against a new generation or something like that? No, I didn't take anything from that. Buckley's done a fantastic job with what he's been presented so far. And it's no easy task to win one fight, but to string together 6 in a row, that's going to give you ultra confidence to where you think you can do no wrong. And so, he's confident, and that's important, and I like that. So it adds a little more fire into, no one wants to just go out there and fight a fish. You don't get that excitement that we all want. So he's going to come. He's ultra confident, ultra aggressive. And I'm going to just be me and let my experience take over. And I think that's why I still do this. And that's where I want to shine.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Come on, right here. Just kind of going off that last question. Buckley was asked about it as well. And he kind of said some interesting things. Like he said, I watched his previous face-offs with guys like Colby and Masvidal, and he said, I didn't get that energy when he was standing in front of me. And then he also said something like, I judge a lot of body language of people, and he said, he took a big, deep breath in when he stood in front of me. So I want to, kind of get what you think of those comments.
Well, of course I took a deep breath. You have to breathe, If you don't breathe, you pass out. So, no, I'm not necessarily a talker unless I have to defend myself. If you say something to me, I'm going to defend myself in a certain way, but I'm also older, I'm also wiser, and in that aspect, you understand what your abilities are, you understand what you've put in to this. I've put in lots of work with my team, training. I'm just fucking tired. Why I need to be talking? On Saturday, we're going to be locked in there, and that's when I'm going to do the talking.
And then another one, he was talking about,
Fair enough.
Your former opponents, and he said he's never really faced anybody that has my type of movement. And then he talked about your sparring partners as well. He said, I've seen the guys he's sparring with, and they just stand in front of him. They don't move like I do, which, is a little bit crazy because you're sparring with Justin Gaethje. But, just talk to me about that as well. About he's saying that you're not going to be as agile, you're not going to be able to keep up with his movement in there. So what are your thoughts on that?
That's great. Like I said, you can say whatever you like to say to build that confidence in your head, which is a very powerful thing. But, Buckley presents a certain challenge, and it is what it is. That's what we do. We deal with challenges. Me and my team, my coaches, we've put the time in. So we go out there Saturday. I guess we'll see how I deal with that movement.
And then last one, a little bit unrelated. Sean O'Malley just recently came out. He was talking about the things that he went through post-fight with Merab. You're a guy, obviously, that's been through it all. And he said some things like, I was more nervous than I've ever been. I almost felt vulnerable in that octagon. I just wondered if you'd ever kind of been in that situation where you were super nervous.
Somebody needs to turn off the fucking chime on their phone in this goddamn place.
To the point where you're almost scared to get in there. And do you think that fighters should be that open when when they're vulnerable like that post-fight?
That's a good question. We're in a really, I guess I want to say, weird time in society right now.
Society?
To where we're trying to figure out how to progress forward, especially as men. We've always known, and since the history of time, I guess the female species and women have always told us, communicate more, be vulnerable, and all these things. And
bunch of bullshit.
Been men
as soon
trying
as you
to
do,
figure out how we fall
tell
into
you to
that,
shut up.
how we govern ourselves with that. And we're kind of in a weird time right now to where
men should only open up to
social
other
media
men,
and
not to girls,
information
especially their
so
women.
accessible.
They will be judged immediately.
We want to be able to inform the people behind us, the ones behind us, of what we've dealt with and how we navigated through those things. But at the same time, we want to connect with the ones maybe before.
What's that thing on his finger? Did he jam his finger?
Did you feel this? Because that's what I'm feeling now. So it's a lot of information right now in the world.
Finger also looks
and
fake.
It's not necessarily right or wrong. I could be honest with you and tell you right now, every fighter has felt that going out, unless you're borderline psychopath. Every fighter has felt that. You're nervous, you're anxious, you're scared, you're excited, you want to pee yourself, and you want to poop yourself, but at the same time, you don't know what's going on. We all feel that. And it's with time and with experience, you understand that starts to become a lot more normal. Rashad Evans told me this early on in the career, and he says you have to make friends with those feelings. If you make friends with them, then you understand that it's part of the journey. It's what keeps you sharp. So, no, Sean's not wrong about that. Of course, you're supposed to be nervous.
Yeah.
That's a big task. You're going in there with the best guy in the world, and it's a fist fight. This ain't no basketball game. It's a fist fight. You could seriously be injured or hurt in there. So, of course, you're supposed to be nervous. That's fine. But he still had the courage to step in there and do it and give his all. So that's all you can ask for as a man.
Kamaru, salam alaikum.
Alaikum salam, brother.
Julian Virgin. You spoke about Buckley on a 6-fight win streak. You're on a 3-fight losing streak. Where is your confidence at?
It's in my pocket. My confidence comes from just the preparation. Yeah, you could say, yeah, it's three fights that you've dropped, but look at those fights.
Yeah, one of the fights, yeah.
You know, it's. I didn't go out there and just lay down.
One of the fights he got caught last minute.
And so
second fight he kind of got dominated.
You really put that time.
Third
in
fight, 10 days notice.
You go out there and you give
like,
it your all.
He still did
that's
good.
That's all you can ask for as a man. And so that's what I'm looking at to do is go out there and really showcase everything that I put in and give that maximum effort. Because when you do that, you can't be disappointed with your effort.
Maximum effort.
It's when you prepare and then you go out there and you just do nothing and you just lay down. That's when you could be disappointed that I could have done more.
You've been very vulnerable throughout your time as champion, throughout your time as a fighter. You've spoken on things such as your health and how, you know, sometimes your knees, and they make jokes about it online. I want to know physically, where are you as you step into this bout? I'm
good. I really, I'm good. It's funny because that's the joke, the running joke. They oh, knees. They don't realize knees were, if not worse, my first fight in the UFC. My first fight, I was coming in right off the back of a microfracture surgery. And I don't think people, and that's doctors say that's about an 8-month recovery. And I fought 4 months after the surgery. And so I don't think people realize that it was worse before. I know it's a running joke, everyone likes to joke about it, but I've been beating people's asses with knees. So it is what it is. They can say whatever they want. Saturday, we're going to get in there. He's going to punch me. I'm going to punch him. And we're going to see who wins.
The Nigerian Nightmare, you always represent Africa. You're fighting, you're headlining the card in Atlanta, Georgia. They call this the Black Mecca. What does it mean to be here in Atlanta, Georgia, competing in front of this crowd?
It means a lot. You know, I got a lot of family here. You know, a lot of Africans here. So hopefully Atlanta and the UFC did a great job of promoting that, because then we'll get to see a lot of them show up and show out. But it means a lot. It was either here or Dallas, you know. So it means a lot to me, especially when you get to a certain part of your career. And UFC is such a big and such a global company, they could have gone anywhere. So getting this opportunity meant a lot.
And again, we've been able to watch you grow as a man and as a father. Sunday is Father's Day, man. Could you speak on what it means to be a dad? Not just a father, but just to be a dad to a beautiful young woman.
I'm in fight mode right now, so I can't really get vulnerable with all that. But it's amazing. It's one of those gifts that I always, even in younger and even in college, I always knew that that's something I wanted to embark on, and we're on it. You know, now two daughters, so it's a great blessing that I can't wait to go enjoy after this weekend. But right now, I'm still locked in here.
And as you're locked in, what does it take for you to get your hand raised Saturday night?
Saturday night, I think it's trusting in my experience, trusting in my preparation, and just letting it happen. Because before the fight and preparation, of course, you're preparing everything. But once you step in there, you got to take what he's given, you know, and he's got to take what I'm given. So you just kind of have to let the experience take over and let that preparation from your team take over. Because I've been in fights where we were training something, certain technique, and you don't ever use that. And then I've been in fights where you're training a certain technique, and it's just not that you planned on it. It's just technique comes out. It's like, oh shit, that works. You know, so it's just trusting the experience and letting it come out. Thank you.
Kamaru, this is coming up on your 10-year anniversary of your bout in the Ultimate Fighter final. What are the lessons that you've learned in your nearly 10 years with the promotion?
That's what I mean right there. Is you saying 10 years? Sheesh. 10 years went by like that, and that I think that is why I'm so grateful, because it's not too long ago I was walking around behind Rashad Evans and kind of his little young training partner, and watching how people treated Rashad Evans. He was a superstar. He was a god, at some points. And now I'm sure Rashad is sitting in a place where he's like, man, that went by so fast.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And look where I'm at. I'm sitting here, and you guys are going 10 years. You've been in the UFC. I'm like, Jesus. I didn't, there was a time I was 5-1. I was like, man, I wish I could get in the UFC. And now 10 years later, sitting here having a conversation with you guys, I'm just blessed that I was, able to do what I've done with what God's blessed me with. So I'm thankful.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, Kamaru.
Yes.
What does this comeback fight means to you personally and professionally?
What does this fight?
Yes.
There's a lot of implications, I think, for me, because, like, as you guys all know, you come to a place where you have to assess certain things, like, why am I still doing this? Can I still do this? Do I still do this? And so, yeah, it means a lot. If I go out there and I'm able to execute the way that I prepared, the way that my team prepared me, and with the tools that I have, then of course it gives you that validation. Like, yeah, let's keep going. Like I said, we got some goals here. We want to go get that belt next, and then go get the other belt that has eluded me for a while. So, yeah.
If everything goes right on a fight night, what message do you want to send to the rest of the division?
Well, they know what's up. I have been and always will be the boogeyman of this division, so they know what's up with me.
You are 6-time champion. Jiří Procházka, light heavyweight champion, former. What was your reaction that he turns down the title fight and proceed his university?
Why does this guy keep asking about fucking Yuri? Who gives a shit? It's not even the weight class.
Yuri?
Light heavyweight, former light heavyweight champion.
Oh, he turned down the title fight?
Yeah, and study to finish his degree.
Right now, he turned down the fight? I understand it. I understand it because, think about it, Jiří Procházka now has fought for the title, 3 times already? 3 or 4, I believe. Yeah, quite a few times. And has won the title, but has fallen short in, I think, back-to-back attempts. So, it depends. Jiří is one of those, is an artist. And so he might, in his head, he feels like, you know what, now I need to give myself a little bit of time. Let me go study something else. And if that brings me back and centers me again to go for the title, I'll do it. So much power to him. I respect that. Jiří was an incredible fighter. Did really good things with his time. So I understand it.
So do you think it's possible or even admirable for top fighter to prioritize education over a championship opportunity in this UFC right now?
Well, it depends on what type of education. I mean, we're learning here. I learned how to not get punched 7 times by Justin in the face. You learn, there's education everywhere. And so that's just, he's choosing to go do that type of education. Maybe he's learning how to fly a plane, which might be useful for him. So it's always good to prioritize education. It just depends on what type of education you're getting.
Thank you.
Just real quick, Kamaru over here. You laid out your plan, and I don't know if you saw, but Bilal Muhammad, after he lost his belt, he said there's a lot of interest in fighting you, and he thinks that fight has to happen at some point. Is he in your plan to get back to the world title? You have to go through him as well, or no?
Now, here's the thing: is when Bilal Muhammad was champion, there was a reason to fight Bilal Muhammad, right? He had a title. Let's be honest here. We're not the best of friends, but I don't wish him any bad. He's my Muslim brother, so I don't wish him any bad. But what do you have to offer me? you gonna give me a side deal? You gonna throw me a little extra cash on the side? If he's willing to do that, maybe, but who knows, you know. But I hope he's recovering well. That was a tough loss, so hopefully he bounces back.
Yeah. So the bad blood between you two doesn't give you any.
There was never bad blood. That was never really the case. Like, if you really look at the history of, you look at myself and Colby Covington, that rivalry, which, I mean, it's over with. You know, Kobe is Kobe, but that there was a story. There was things that are lined up there with that one. With Bilal, no, it's just a guy that was in a division that did well, eventually became champion, and then once he became champion, then you really start to kind of hear his voice a little bit more, and at times it was a little bit annoying, and that was pretty much it. But there's no necessarily bad blood between me and Bilal. Yeah. It is what it is. You know, I wish him well. If he's champion, or if I'm champion, I'm sure he's going to want to fight me. If he's champion, I'm going to want to compete against him for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
All right. So that is it for Kamaru. I will be now going into the final one of Buckley. So let's go ahead and get the Joaquin Buckley interview going. I'm surprised that out of all of them, his is the shortest. But let's get it going. If it decides
Joaquin
to load.
To your left. You called out Kamaru Usman, and the UFC granted that fight. Here you are fighting him in the main event of this card. That doesn't always pan out, right? Like, there's always a lot of call-outs. Only a certain percentage of them, actually come to fruition. So how happy are you that you envisioned this and it's coming together?
Yes, sir, man. I'm talking about 2024 was a massive year for me, especially with getting all the fights that I've been asking for, right? Getting the opportunities.
Asking
with,
for, Joaquin. Ask, not ask.
With Wonder Boy and, even with,
just kidding, Joaquin.
The Kamaru Usman, me shouting his name out, and now they blessing us now with this fight. So with this opportunity, man, that I'm getting, I just think this is a perfect, moment for myself, man, just to really show up and show out. But, really the reason why these call-outs, have been successful is because of the fans, right? Every time I call out these fighters, these the fans, man, they want to see it. So the UFC actually been listening to the fans, man, and making sure that these fights happen.
Did you feel at one point that maybe this fight wasn't going to happen because Kamaru's not super active, right? So did you feel like, were you confident that this fight would come together, that he would accept the fight and accept the fight?
I mean, that's hard to say about any fight, right? My thing about Kamaru Usman, it's been a minute since he's even stepped into the octagon. It's been like 2 years since his last fight with Hamzat. But was I nervous about, or was I even, wondering whether he was going to step out or not? That ain't my concern. My concern is really kind of just working towards getting towards that goal. But I knew Kamaru Usman was a perfect name to call out at the time.
And what do you make of him right now, like where he stands in his career? Obviously, like former champion, he did so much for the sport, right? But he hasn't fought in a while. His last fight was at 185. So, like, how do you view his career? Like, where do you think he's at?
I mean, be honest with you, I don't think there's no difference from the Kamaru of old and the Kamaru of now. I think it's the same fighter, which I believe is still dangerous, and a person that could still give a lot of guys a lot of problems at the welterweight division. You realize, losing to a person like Leon, who obviously took his belt and who obviously was a champion at the moment, and then also Usman being able to go on 10 days notice and fight Hamzat, right?
Sounds like the guy from Monsters Inc.
You got to respect that. And even with him taking those L's, I really feel like, it wasn't much of a loss for him as it was just a setback, right? But with that being said, he's been able to fine-tune his technique, as he says, and been able to work on whatever injuries that he got. So I'm just expecting the best version of himself when he step out there.
Yeah, you're a big favorite.
Fair enough. That's a good way to think.
Carter, I don't know if you
what am I?
A big favorite. You're like a -2 something?
Damn, okay.
265?
Yeah, I thought we was going to get some free money in this one.
Yeah. Are you surprised that you're such a big favorite? I mean, obviously your run at 170 has been amazing, right? But, as you mentioned, that guy's a former champion. He did look good against Hamzat at weight class above, short notice.
I think he did a great job. It really just showed that, in my personal opinion, Hamzat ain't really what, we think. But regardless of that, though, you know, I feel like with me and Usman, I'm going to show them, you know, there's going to be a night-day difference with Hamzat's performance over Kamaru Usman and then my performance that I'm going to have.
And what do you think a win here would do for your career? Because some people might look at this as a title eliminator, right? But we do have, or we're expecting Islam Makhachev to go up in weight class and challenge JDM. So
let's see what he says.
What does a win do, and where do you think it'll put you in the division?
So, in my personal opinion, right, this win is going to catapult me to be in the position of that number 1 contender spot. But obviously, this is a business, right? Islam has done a lot in the lightweight division. He has a massive name, and you know, it only makes sense for the UFC to give him that opportunity to fight for the belt. But with all that being said, you know, I'm going to let my performance speak for itself because a lot of things happen within this fight business that, yet again, we cannot predict. So with that being said, if that such thing does happen, you know, Buck going to be ready for his opportunity when they come call.
Who do you think wins that one, by the way, if they do make it?
Say it again, bro.
Bro, it's happening. Oh, my God, what's on his knuckle? Ow!
They do book
Islam.
Yeah. Is that a fight that interests you as well? Do you feel like maybe down the line you two could fight? Obviously, if he becomes champion and you're a top contender.
It's a big hole in his in his finger. It gives me the chills.
I would love it, but I don't think Islam would. I truly believe if Islam is able to win that 170 title, he gonna move. He done everything that he needed to do. What, he gonna stick around and potentially, you know, lose that winning streak? I don't think so. I think he really just trying to cement his name. This really kind of just a legacy pass. And then once he wins that welterweight belt, my man gonna retire at the end of the day. That's my opinion.
Thank you and good luck on Saturday.
Well, also too, I think it was announced today that Umar's friend or
on your
teammate or
podcast,
something,
by the way,
is undefeated and is stepping up to 155.
Name. And this is touch a little bit on what you just spoke about, but you mentioned that you think that you can put yourself certainly in that spot, that number 1 contender area. Have you had any conversations with the UFC about that, or maybe being a backup fighter for a possible JDM versus Islam fight?
No deep conversations, but let my performance speak for itself, and I think that's who they will want as a backup, a person like me.
And if that ends up not being, if they do go with Islam, are you willing to take another fight after you get this victory on Saturday, or do you want to just hold out, see how things play out for a while before?
You know, that ain't how this business works. You know, at the end of the day, I'm trying to get paid though too. So
fair enough.
We're gonna be looking to go after that belt, but if it ain't available, we look at a name.
Fair enough. And
I like that mentality. I hope he stays that.
A lot of contenders.
Even like
up.
when
are there any of them that
when he has the belt, which he will have the belt.
Machado, Gary, Sean Brady,
I hope
Shavkat,
he's just like, hey, this guy's ranked number 10, but nobody else to fight right now, so fuck it, let's
with
fight.
The numbers spike the most, that's the one I want.
Thank you very much.
Ian Gary and Joaquin Buckley, let's go. I would love that fight.
You said that you think that Islam will probably retire after JDM fight, but if he's not, and if he will win and he will decide to stay at 170, there could be.
Bro, ask him questions about the fight this weekend.
All these fighters
fucking
in
stupid.
welterweight.
Oh my gosh.
The fight will probably be in
These
Abu
media
Dhabi
guys
in
are
October.
annoying, bro.
Then he will have some rest. Then will be Ramadan, and he doesn't fight in Ramadan. So the next title fight of Islam Makhachev at 170 could be in May. So, are you planning to stay active, or you will wait for him?
Well,
He just said he'd stay active,
right? In that fashion. But I believe I'm one more away, especially right after the Kamaru Usman fight, period. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to the rankings, Usman is only ranked number 5. But don't get it twisted, bro. Islam ain't no big threat to the welterweight division. This is the deepest weight class that you can get into right now. Not only just from myself, but from guys like Ian Gary, from Shavkat, from Sean Brady. You know, like Islam definitely gonna have to, you know, prove to the world that he's ready for this division. Period.
Thank you.
Period.
I got one. Is that cool? Yeah. Just when you were talking about the division as a whole, you said it's probably the deepest division in MMA. Like, do you believe that you're currently in the best division in MMA? And when it comes to the pound-for-pound rankings, do you think that should give the welterweight division, you know, like, to be able to be higher than some of these guys?
I believe, yes, this is the deepest the weight class has ever been. Especially with all the names I just listed, right? And, you know, you still got guys that's undefeated, right, in this weight class and getting finishes. So if you're able to remain a champion in the welterweight division, because you obviously seen with Leon end up, losing his belt to Bilal. Bilal couldn't hold it down for his first title defense, right? And then you already got, a person like JDM, who is a talented fighter, but I truly believe that, he still has a lot of holes in his game where he eventually gonna get got. So with that being said, I think that if you're able to maintain that welterweight belt, like, bro, you that one, you that guy. And I want to be able to prove that to the world.
Who that
once I win
bitch?
that title, that every person that I fight, stylistically.
I come off like I
bro,
make fun of
I'm
him.
the
I
worst
actually
matchup
really
for
like
him.
Joaquin.
And then I don't know if anybody's talked about it yet, but yesterday at the face-off, what was that energy like? Because
My ex-girlfriend,
it seemed like you were
when,
talking some trash to Kamaru.
he
and
fought
then at the
Kobe,
end, you kinda
she
had a
called
moment
him
where you're
Jaquan,
Like,
so-
man, this is Kamaru Usman in
Right.
front of me, and it kind of hyped you up.
Just
So
kidding.
what was going on throughout that?
I mean, she said
Well,
that, but she didn't mean it in a bad way.
I'm a big fan myself, right? Because where I came from and how I worked to get to this point, right, is just a big reminder, man, that God can bless you, right, and put you in a position where you couldn't even imagine. And for me to be, somebody that was watching, Kamaru Usman, right, come to St. Louis, right, and kind of be the 30%, Kamaru Usman in St. Louis, but still be able to put on the show. And me being able to watch that and being like now in a position where I'm like, okay, I'm right in front of this man now. I get to fight this man. I get to prove not only to myself but to the world, man, that I'm one of the best. And, I feel like just giving that real authentic energy of what I'm saying in my mind, but out to the public, I think it's, just a surreal thing.
And then last one, I know Paddy Pimblett's kind of faced criticism this way where he says like, hey man, no matter who I beat, they're going to keep moving the goalposts further away. Do you think people are kind of going to be like that with you? If you beat Kamaru Usman, they'll be like, oh, Usman's a little bit older. Or when you beat Wonder Boy, Wonder Boy's a little bit older. Like, do you kind of get that energy from people as well where they're like, they're going to keep moving the goalposts on me no matter what I do?
They will, but at the end of the day, I'm still going to have that name on my resume. I'm still going to be
top of the
able
division.
to
It's still the
say
top
that
of the
I
division.
beat
There's nothing
a former
you can
champion
do about that.
and a Hall of Famer in Kamaru Usman. So regardless of people say, oh, he too old or he was washed, which he's not whatsoever, I still got that name on my resume, so that's all that matters.
Joaquin, Julian Virgin, WAB News. Could you speak more to yesterday's face-off? Did you see anything in Kamaru that stood out to you, or it was just a regular face-off?
No, it wasn't. It's never a regular face-off. Definitely when you speak about me. But I always love to see the type of energy that fighters give other people and to see if they will give to me. And with Kamaru Usman, I feel like a lot of fights that, he had and a lot of opponents that, he would go back and forth with, whether that's Masvidal, whether that's Leon, whether that's Kobe Covington himself, he was quiet with me, right? And I seen, not about his body language, but just his demeanor, him taking in a deep breath before he seen me. Like, little details like that mean a lot to me, right? Because he know the person that he's finna
And then
deal
Usman
with
goes,
in
yeah, I
front of
had to
him
breathe.
is about to give
You don't
him that
breathe, you
action.
pass out.
And, I just can't wait because I'm already knowing with that type of energy, even though you might be nervous or you might be, I wouldn't even say frightened, right? But worried about what's in front of you, you're going to be locked in. And those are the fighters to watch out for at the end of the day.
A few weeks ago, you joked that Kamaru doesn't have any knees. Again, I'm just curious, how much does that factor into your game plan as you step into the octagon with him?
Oh, with him not having no knees, just good footwork, moving around Kamaru Usman. At the end of the day, there's a lot of fighters within my division that don't know how to move, and they kind of stand right in front of each other. That's why I believe my style and me being dynamic is very unique, right? Because there's nobody that fights like me, So I see the guys that Kamaru Usman, he's training with, don't know, none of those guys move like me whatsoever. So he's not going to be prepared for what he sees when he steps out into the octagon.
And again, a couple of weeks ago, you did also speak about being able to headline a card here in Atlanta, Georgia, and the impact that you could possibly have on young black men. Could you speak more to that?
I appreciate that. I truly believe that, having this fight out in Atlanta is a major deal, right? with me being able to pretty much represent, a culture of people, especially out here in Atlanta, and me being able to give back by actually coming out to Atlanta and being able to be out in Cheney's Stadium, right? Being out at the public park, going to Stonecrest Mall, and being out at Lion Cage MMA in Privy. I think it's just a great opportunity to really show people that, I'm the guy that the UFC can see that is trying, right, to reach out to us and to really kind of put on for the sport. There's not a lot of a major black audience that watch our sport, right? And it's not because they wouldn't love it. It's just it's because we don't have a lot of representation within our sport that really go back out into the community and really kind of put on. And I think I'm one of the first fighters to do that. And I'm really getting.
Sound like an asshole, but most fucking black people fight each other. Why wouldn't they want to watch UFC?
The thing with this
I think
fight
most
camp
dudes in general like fighting each other. Why would they not want to watch UFC?
Because I'm already knowing the type of fight that this is going to take in order for me to be in a position where I want to be. And I understand that it's not going to be easy, right? Obviously, you see the shirt that I got on, Take the Throne, right? Like, when you take the throne,
I look down like a fucking dumbass as if I can see shirt better.
There's going to be a front line that you're going to have to set and not waver and not, back up. And I know that within this fight, I can't back up against Kamaru Usman. I have to move forward, and I got to put that pressure on him. And, we got to go for the kill.
Final question, and thank you for your time.
Yeah.
You're going to step into the cage by yourself, but you're out here with your team. Could you speak about the group of people that helps you get to this point?
Thank you. With me having a team like this, in the beginning of my career, I didn't have it, right? I mean, I'm talking about from the first fight that I had with Kevin Holland. When I say I literally was out there by myself, I was, right? And now being in a position where I'm having these main events, right? I'm fighting the best people in the world. You can't do this on your own. You need a massive team, So, my team consists of some of the best guys around, and they never been heard of, And I believe with me being on a platform like the UFC, right, I don't just get to shed the light on me, but I get to shed the light on other people, right, that's helping me get to the places that I need to be. So with my, my coach, with Edric Dillard, with Reggie Thomas, with Travis Brown, with Jeff Henry, and working with my manager, with Todd and Shagun, and one of my best assistants back there, Rocky. It's just like it takes a team in order to be the best in the world, because I've always talked about this, right? The solid foundation. Right now we building up something great, but if I didn't have a solid foundation, everything will come crumbling down, So I got the best bricks around me that's going to put me in a position, man, to be the best in the world.
On Saturday.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. That's it. Appreciate y'all.
All right, that is it for Buckley, and that will finish off the media day interviews. So with that, I will be back tomorrow with some UFC news. It's a bigger fight night, but I don't know if they're gonna do a pre-fight conference. I would hope they would. There's a lot of really good fighters on this card. I hope they would, but maybe not. But also tomorrow is there is a PFL fight. So let me go ahead and actually look up when that starts. PFL June 12th, not June 13th. You fuck. All right. Thursday, June 12th. How to watch it. So I don't know any of these fighters, if I'm being honest. I know Storley, but I don't know any of these other guys. You can't even see it. Let's see how to watch. It is on ESPN Plus tomorrow. Jesus, is that Liz Carmouche? Is she fighting tomorrow? So with that, I might do a watch party for that. Let me see if I could get all the fighters in here real quick. Let me just shrink this down. All right, there we go. That should be. There we go. Okay. Up. Move this over. All right. So pretty big fight card. No Liz Carmouche. These are all dudes. I was like, they're Jake Shields, but no, that's not Jake Shields. I only recognize like 2 or 3 guys. But let's see, what time does it start tomorrow? 8 p.m. Eastern, so 5 p.m. Pacific it starts. That's the main card. So I would assume like 3, the prelim card starts. I might do a watch party for that. I do want to see some movies tomorrow, but maybe I could push that to Friday. So I might do a watch party on this channel tomorrow for the PFL fight. And then I again don't know if they're going to do a pre-fight conference for the UFC fight on tomorrow. But if not, I will go over maybe the weigh-ins. I'll do a live watch thing on the weigh-ins on Friday. But I will be back with UFC news for sure tomorrow, whatever news comes out overnight. And so, yeah, with that, thanks for watching today. Really appreciate it. Thanks for all that tuned in. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.